Hello and namaste. Accuracy, balance, credibility. This is ABC News and I'm Pratibha Paudel in this ABC Discourse program. It is our commitment to investigate and present real and factual news. All the public related affairs will be our subject to deal with. It is our continuous effort to present exclusive and authentic news and views. Today is the Independent Day of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. On this occasion, we are having an exclusive interview with His Excellency Dr. Mazhar Javed, Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Pakistan to Nepal. Dr. Mazhar Javed was born in 1964. He holds degree of MBBS and MA Economics. He joined Foreign Service of Pakistan in 1989. He has served various Pakistan mission abroad and different capacities like Hong Kong, Sofia and Berlin and so on. Nepal and Islamic Republic of Pakistan have excellent bilateral relations. The two countries established diplomatic relations on 29 March 1960. Nepal established a residential embassy in Islamabad in 1962 and honorary Nepali Consulate General in Karachi in 1975. The bilateral relations between two countries are based on goodwill, mutual cooperation and friendship. Both the governments hold similar views on many issues of common interest and work closely at various international and regional forums such as UN, NAM and SAARC. A foreign secretary level bilateral consultation mechanism has been established to review the bilateral relations comprehensively. The third round of bilateral conference was held in June 2009 in Kathmandu. Regarding these bilateral relations, His Excellency Dr. Mazhar Javed, Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Pakistan to Nepal says,
It's second time that I have the pleasure to be interviewed by you.
I think third time.
Third time. It's third time that I have the pleasure to be interviewed by you, and every time it's through you and the ABC TV News that we get an access to the larger Nepali public, our brothers and sisters. Yes, you said that Pakistan and Nepal are friends forever. That is something that I knew for decades, because that is a part of our, everybody in Pakistan knows that Nepal is a friend of Pakistan. But if you ask me the actual feel of that friendship, I got it only when I came here. When you meet with the Nepali dignitaries, when you meet with the Nepali general public, when you go into the people and see how they look at Pakistan, then you actually get the feel that yes, these are people who are really friendly. They share the same culture, they share the same region, they share the same history and heritage, they share the same challenges. So there is so much in common, including in our histories. And these bonds are not just formal relations. They are very strong emotional bonds, and they are people-to-people bonds. That is the strongest aspect of these relations, that Pakistan-Nepal relations. Every time somebody says that they were established in 1960s, I clarify that what was established in 1960s were the formal diplomatic relations. The relations between these two people are thousands of years old. They are thousands of years old. And these relations, which were established in 1960s, they have throughout, all through these decades, been developing and getting stronger. They are based on non-interference, respect for each other, and mutual non-interference. Now,
We have very good culture of bond.
oh yes, absolutely. I love your music, and Pakistani music is very popular in Nepal.
It's very popular in Nepal.
Absolutely. And the two countries have always come to each other's help in all cases of natural calamities and disasters, whether they were earthquakes or floods in Pakistan or earthquake in Nepal. The two countries always stood with each other. And through you and ABC TV News, let me once again assure our Nepali friends that we in Pakistan always feel good to see our Nepali friends prosper, develop, get more stable and stronger, and see as a more confident nation. We have always been supporting each other at international fora on United Nations, and for sure this cooperation at all these fora, including United Nations, this will grow stronger. It will only grow stronger by the day, and that is something that we really feel happy and proud about.
This year also marked the 60th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between Pakistan and Nepal. There is an increasing cooperation in various fields, especially in education. They share the same region and have cultural similarities and historical linkage dating back to thousands of years. Both the countries have good relations in the past 6 decades.
Strong and close relations which find their roots in the people to people and public to public friendship. It was definitely important for the two countries to celebrate their 60th anniversary and celebrate it in a befitting manner. And for that, many of the programs and initiatives were already scheduled. It was in 2020. There were lots of visits planned and joint initiatives. There were seminars and a lot of other things. And actually in early 2020, we took a very good start with the Foreign Secretary level bilateral consultations in February. But then on the top of that, there came the COVID. And all those plans, they had to be kind of called off. But then COVID is not something specific to this region or to Pakistan or to Nepal. It was a global problem. And now we wish that we all remain stay safe from COVID, and we'll have definitely many more opportunities to celebrate our friendship.
The administration of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi revoked Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, a 70-year-old provision that has given autonomy to the status of Jammu and Kashmir, which includes the Hindu majority area of Jammu and the Muslim majority Kashmir Valley. The special status and the human rights of the people of Jammu Kashmir was also revoked from the same day, 2019, August 5. The illegal act of India has been a hot issue over human rights situation and Jammu Kashmir, especially after India revoked the Article 370. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan repeated that his country would continue to raise the matter at all the international forums. And now let's listen to His Excellency Dr. Mazhar Javed regarding human rights situation over there.
Is how do I assess the human rights situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir? Now, let's trace the sequence of events in the run-up to India's illegal action of August 5. 180,000 troops, 180,000 security personnel were added to the 700,000 security personnel that were already stationed over there. And even before this additional deployment of security personnel, this was the most heavily militarized area in the world. So it already had that dubious distinction. With these 180,000, it went up. Right? It was a complete military siege. It was a complete military siege. And on the top of that, there was a media blackout. No journalists were allowed to go. There was internet shutdowns, so that no news from that illegally occupied territory, it comes out to the rest of the world. Right? And still the tales coming from that area were horrendous. 13,000 young Kashmiris detained, picked up detained, moved to different jails, and tortured. There were many night raids, women were raped, and a lot more. A crippling curfew for continuous months and months, which shattered the economic life. So many arrests, uncertainty, use of pellet guns. Now, all this was a further build-up on an already very serious and grave human rights situation that had existed there for decades and that had steeply worsened over the last few years. If you look at the international reports, in 2019, Amnesty International published a report, and its title was Tyranny of a Lawless Law. Tyranny of a Lawless Law. So even if somebody doesn't have the time to read the report, the name itself tells the tales, right? And year before that, UN Office of the Human Rights Commission, they issued a report in which they demanded, they recommended, they urged an international inquiry into the human rights violations in this territory. So you can imagine the grave situation it is, both the serious situation it is, both in gravity and in scale. I can continue to talk on this issue till evening, but I'm sure ABC TV won't have that much time to, because it's too painful and too long a list of violations, but I will stop on that.
As for Pakistan, it will stand by their just struggle for their right of self-determination. Pakistan has always stood with them, are standing with them, and will continue to provide them moral, political, and diplomatic support till the day that they get their promised right. By relating to these issues, his views on the future of the dispute and ways out for the solution of the problem is like this.
Ms. Prativasi, to understand what needs to be done and how the future of this dispute will be, one first needs to take a look at the history of the dispute. Right. The dispute is basically about the right of self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. That was enshrined in United Nations Security Council resolutions, promised to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and promised by the entire international community, and India and Pakistan were both party to those resolutions. Looking at the developments of these 70 years of history, the freedom struggle, the insistence and the fight for that right, the kind of sacrifices that the people of Kashmir have made for it, and more so the developments of last 1 year, when things heated up to unprecedented levels. There is hardly any doubt that the only solution to the Jammu and Kashmir dispute will have to be according to the wishes of the people, aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and implementation of those resolutions. Actually, I am surprised at times when people say that they need to find a solution to the dispute. The solution is already there. It's an agreed solution. And that is exactly what the people of Jammu and Kashmir that is the right that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have been asking for. So we don't really have to search for a solution. That support had always been unflinching. It is unflinching, and I can assure you it will remain unflinching till the day that those people of Jammu and Kashmir, they get the right that has been promised to them by India, by Pakistan, and the international community. Now, the sooner that happens, the better it will be for everybody. Durable peace and stability in the region, it has been challenged now for decades by the unresolved nature of that dispute. That dispute needs to be resolved. Now, it's the responsibility of the international community to ensure that the rights that the world had promised to those people are given to them. Their human rights, their right to life, dignity, their right to self-determination, they all must be given to them. So now it's for the entire world and all the peace and freedom loving people in the world to play their role. I have absolutely no doubt that the Kashmir freedom struggle, it has to succeed. The people of Kashmir will get their rights. That is beyond any doubt. At least I never had any doubt, and I don't have any doubt. And we will stand with by the people of Kashmir till they get this right.
The entire world is struggling to defeat COVID-19 pandemic. Pakistan has also been affected by this pandemic. The situation of COVID pandemic in Pakistan is also very serious. Now let's have a look at his view on these COVID-19 issues.
Unfortunately, the whole world and this region were hit by this pandemic, and hit badly. It is tragic, unfortunate and tragic to see how many lives have been lost in that, in different countries all over the world. In Pakistan too, it had taken its toll. There were a total of more than 5,500 loss of lives, and the total number of cases is currently at 270,000. But the silver lining is that now we are over the peak. The peak is already past. And now the number of COVID cases, the new cases, the active cases, they are receding very fast. Currently we have a total of 25,000 active cases, 25,000, a number which was around 125,000 just 6 weeks back. So that way we are hopeful that we'll be able to completely overcome this problem, and quite shortly. Then as for the measures taken by the government of Pakistan, we went for a smart lockdown, tried to control the sources from where it could come, which means from other countries. We shut down the flights for pretty long, and there was massive testing that helped us identify the areas where it was spreading in on a limited scale. In some localities there was complete lockdown. In others there were, depending upon how serious the situation was in that particular locality. And I also take this opportunity to very sincerely wish that both these countries, our Nepali brothers, sisters, they stay safe from COVID, and they successfully overcome this challenge. Our good wishes are with you on COVID, like they are on every other issue.
Regional cooperation and integration has always remained an important prerequisite of economic development, and that is more so in today's world, which is often called a global village. Both Nepal and Pakistan are the member of SAARC, but for the last few years, SAARC is almost inoperative. It was our query to the main problem of SAARC to become active and the role that Pakistan and Nepal can play together to reactivate this regional forum. Let's look at his views regarding this idea.
And regional cooperation, regional integration. Ms. Pratibha, in today's world, economic development depends on regional integration. No country can develop in isolation. The whole region has to develop. And that is the lesson that we learned from European Union. That is the lesson that we learned from ASEAN. Basically, that is the lesson we learn from all success stories of regional cooperation. Pakistan does fully understand the importance of integrating with its region, and it has successfully integrated itself on different sides. In the north with China and China-Pakistan economic corridor, the whole world knows how fruitful and helpful a cooperation it is. With West Asia, we are now connected pretty closely in terms of trade, in terms of sea links. The Gwadar port is providing an excellent access. We are trying to integrate with Central Asia on all sides. We would also want to integrate eastwards, which is SAARC. Right? We have always been active members of SAARC because South Asia is a huge region with historical linkages, with history of this regional organization, SAARC. Now it's 30 years old. Unfortunately, in recent years, it has not been functioning the way we would have wanted it to work. Actually, the organization has come to standstill, or almost a standstill, since 2016, when the 19th SAARC summit, which was to be held in Pakistan, it couldn't be held. Since then, the summit process has been stalled, and this is the longest gap between two summits in the history of SAARC. We do understand the importance of regional integration. We do understand the importance of SAARC in integrating and developing regional cooperation in South Asia. But to have regional cooperation, you need to have the mindset of a regional cooperation. Unfortunately, SAARC had been put on a SAARC couldn't function the way it should have because bilateral issues and political issues were mixed with the regional cooperation agenda. What stalled the process was a baseless, unhelpful blame game. No organization can work with that kind of an approach unless you actually show commitment to regional cooperation with a positive approach. We hope and wish that SAARC becomes operational as soon as possible and the whole region develops and ushers in an era of prosperity, development, durable peace, with resolution of all the outstanding disputes wherever they exist.
At the end of this interview, his message for the people of Nepal is the message of love, friendship and cordiality. He adds that the renewed commitment to the bond that the two countries and the two people have traditionally enjoyed. Let's have a look at his views.
As ambassador to Nepal, and I was lucky to be posted in this country with the friendly people, and my message is the same which I give every year, but it is so important that I would even reiterate 100 times. It's a message of friendship, it's a message of love, and it's a message of good wishes. Pakistan will always be a friend to Nepal in all circumstances and in all times to come. I wish the best for Nepal-Pakistan friendship. Thank you.
We are very much thankful for providing these details to His Excellency Dr. Mazhar Javed, Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Pakistan to Nepal, and we are greatly honored for sharing his time with us. Now we have come to the end of this discourse program. I will come with other interesting facts and information on the same day, same time and same channel. Keep watching ABC News. Namaste, goodbye and have a good time. Thank you.